Mets fans, you know how I said in the video we just did a couple hours ago when we first found out the news that Alvarez was going on the injured list today, how, at least this is not a season ender? Well, I'm such a schmuck for making that comment because all it needed to do was age like milk over the next couple hours, as we have now found out breaking news 2.0 today. Francisco Alvarez needs surgery. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen, but when it's going to happen. And what is next now for the Mets and Alvarez? Well, I'm just going to let Mets skipper Carlos Mendoza let you guys know himself.
What is the severity of Alvarez's injury?
Yeah, so obviously he's got a UCL, the ligament injury. He needs surgery, obviously. But right now, talking to multiple doctors, the plan is to give him 10 to 14 days to calm down the inflammation and see where he's at after that. As far as like gripping at bat, if he's going to be able to swing there. There's players in the past that can play through this, and that's what we're giving a chance. He goes and have surgery right now. He's going to be done for the season anyway. So, he wants to give it a try. We're hopeful that, he can play through this, but we just got to wait and see.
I know this doesn't happen in just the Mets. Every team in baseball goes through hardship. Every team in baseball goes through things that they don't want to go through. But man, does it sting so much. Every single time it feels like the Mets have a golden opportunity to find themselves actually getting consistency, something happens. If it wasn't Kodai Senga going down with injury there, if it wasn't going back to the beginning of the season with the Samoan Southpaw Shamanai and Frankie Montas, or as I like to call him, I apologize, folks, kiddos, earmuffs, Montas. When you look at all those injuries, then you look at Griffin Canning just rupturing his Achilles, which is insane still. You look at all the other things that have happened to this team injury-wise this season, and then Francisco Alvarez, who, mind you, already missed the first month and a half or so of the season, if not longer there, because of the fact that he had that hamate bone injury in spring training himself. Now, over the past month and a half, he has been batting right around 300 with a 1,000 OPS, playing the best baseball that we've ever seen. Yes, defensively, he still has his flaws, no doubt, but offensively, he's looked as consistent, as comfortable as ever at the plate. And what do we see? Francisco Alvarez now going down on the injured list, the same series that he ultimately returned to the Mets earlier this year, back in June. If you guys are not mistaken, remember, we saw back in June when the Mets had that 4-game series against the Nationals. The Mets split that series. Very frustrating one, but Alvarez and McNeil made their returns to the lineup there from injury. Now we fast forward a couple months later, back in DC to get set for a series, and not only is Alvarez down with injury, well, now it appears, folks, that his season very well could be over if the inflammation does not go down, if he's not comfortable in the next 10 to 15 days, 10 or 14 days, whatever it is. And the knee-jerk and gut reaction is, I'm beyond gutted. Alvarez, again, has been playing his best baseball, not just of the season, but I truly believe that this is the most polished and the most comfortable Alvarez has ever looked at the plate in his young career. And the beauty about Alvarez is that he's still so young, right? He's 23. For context, Adley Rutschman didn't make even his MLB debut until right around, I think, a half year later or so from Alvarez's current age, mind you. So you look at all these things and you say to yourself, there's still so much potential with Alvarez, but it's now a third significant injury, especially when we look at the hand over the past calendar year and a half now. And this is not the catching hand, this is the throwing hand. But the concern is not so much, okay, maybe they would want to make him DH more than maybe getting catching reps because of the fact that it's going to hurt too much by him constantly throwing back to the pitcher or whatever it's going to be. But if you keep him then as a DH, how comfortable is he going to be with the bat there? Alvarez has been playing tremendous baseball, but if there's one thing we've learned about Alvy when returning from injury, he hasn't necessarily put up the most stellar numbers, and he's had a lot more of those inconsistencies. It takes him a little bit to get in the flow of things, and that also hurts when you bear in mind the Mets don't have much time left this season. We only have a month and a half right now to work with, and Alvarez, we can't just allow to have a slow roll of a build-up here. If he really starts to labor, the Mets are going to have to act fast. And now you add in the greater frustration, which is not only the latest injury to Alvarez here, but ultimately what it means for this team. This Mets team has been thriving with their offense the past week and a half, finally getting consistency going, finally knowing what it's like to actually do a thing called hitting with runners in scoring position. And even then, even with all these things in place, one of the key factors in this has been Francisco Alvarez's brilliant play at the plate. And by losing him, you not only hurt the team morale, you hurt every aspect of the club right now. You'll also hurt your go-to catcher, your game caller, when your alternative catching options are Luis Torrens and Hayden Sanger. I nothing personal against them both. They've had their flashes of brilliance for sure, but the key word here is flashes. The Mets don't have great alternative options right now either. What are they going to do? They're going to call up Kevin Parada from AA. Parada's been swinging the bat very well in AA the past 2.5 months or so after starting the year horrendous the first month and a half. He went from looking terrible to looking fantastic. But Parada can't defend to save his life from everything that I'm aware. And he's only been in the AA level. So if you bring him all the way up to the bigs, who's not to say that he's going to be even worse than your current options in Torrens and Sanger? I'm not sure if the Mets are going to go down that route. And knowing that Alvarez, if he does in fact stay with this team, is more than likely not going to be feeling 100% when it comes to taking his at-bats. Like, just bear this in mind. God forbid, if he gets hit at all by his hand from a random hit-by pitch, should he stay, it's going to be 10 times worse more than likely. Like, I think that there's too much risk, and that's why I will genuinely be surprised if Alvarez legs this out for more than, say, 2.5 weeks from now, just because I know he's a very prideful player. I know he's going to do everything in his power to stay on the field, and I hope that that's true. Obviously, that's the great thing about Alvarez. He's young, and he's obviously feisty, and he wants to impact this Mets team positively in more ways than one, and I certainly love that about the guy. But the reality is that if he inevitably needs surgery, I don't see a world where the Mets are necessarily going to benefit too much by him actually staying with the team. I will be more than happy to be proven wrong, because I would love nothing more than for Alvarez to maybe get a cortisone shot, whatever they got to do there, numb the area, get him going, and just have him hack away. And maybe he doesn't feel too much in that hand for a decent period of time, but the benefit will be that he'll be able to stay afloat with the Mets here, and they'll be able to continue their run heading into hopeful postseason play. I don't hate that idea, but at the same time, you have to make sure that it doesn't hurt things further for him when he does inevitably get surgery, among other things. So I think that there is a decent level of a risk factor with keeping him, as it does make a lot of sense for him to get surgery. But the great concern here is not only how amazing Alvarez has been since coming back from his latest minor league assignment, which again is what crushes me most about this, but you also bear in mind, again, how much of a positive impact he's been on this team as of late. The Mets do not have a rock-solid alternative. This is not a slight again on Sanger or Torrens, but even when Torrens had his great stretches, those are intervals for a reason. And when you have a month and a half or so left of baseball to be had, and you got a lot of baseball to be had and key ball games as the Mets are trying to stay afloat and not just pushing for the NL East, but more so just trying to stay afloat in postseason play contention, you do have your level of concerns there if that becomes maybe a glaring hole of a nothing burger from a spot in your lineup. The Mets should, in theory, be able to work around it the way that they did the first month and a half or so this season when Alvarez was obviously still initially on the shelf with his hamate bone injury. The Mets, again, got off to a very good start this season, all things considered, even when they didn't play their best baseball. Can they go ahead and do that again? Surely, but just knowing that there's not a great likelihood that you're going to get Alvarez back to what he was at all for the rest of the year, even if he stays on the team, is what really crushes me most. To say this is a gut punch is an understatement, and to say this is frustrating is also an understatement. It just feels like that this is the Mets' MO every single time that we're just hoping to finally have something going in our way over a period of time. Something has to come and hit us like an absolute truck that we didn't see until it was too late. So we'll see what happens, obviously, in regards to Alvarez over the next 10 to 14 days, however long it's going to be. If he stays with the team and he actually looks like he can be productive still, then amazing. Like, I'll be so happy to see that. But if not, I will be far from surprised, because they've already told the media and everyone, to us, that he needs surgery. Usually, if they're laying this out there already, they're kind of already warming you up the idea that the inevitable is kind of happening here. So, again, hope I'm proven wrong, but we'll see what happens over the next couple weeks, everybody. Thank you again so much for watching. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below, your key takeaways from this one. If you want to cheer up a little bit, at least, if you want to see some money off your next ticket purchase for the Mets or whatever you need there in the sport event or comedy space, concert show space, you name it. And yes, we're doing the plug right at the end here. Shout out to our friends at SeatGeek. Make sure to utilize our promo code WARDY10. That way you too get 10% off your next ticket purchase. Link down below in the description. Thank you guys kindly for that, and I'll see you all later tonight for our post-game show. Peace out, everybody.